Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, February 23rd, 2026. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Dan Rubin. Man, that was a exhilarating hockey game yesterday. I'll just say that was my favorite gold medal ever in the Olympics. I think of things like when I was a little kid watching the 84 games and watching, the college kids, even though they're about to be NBA guys like Michael Jordan, just dominate at the Olympics, and many other gold medal basketball I can think of, some of the track and field stuff, even going back to like Mary Lou Retton when I was a little kid in like gymnastics. Yesterday was my favorite. I missed the 80. I was alive, but I was a toddler when the 1980 Olympics happened, so I missed the Miracle on Ice. Yesterday was my favorite, man, ever.
Yeah, I remember 80. So I'm going to give away my ancient status here. I do remember it, and I remember it being incredible. I can't really say that's number one just because I was years old and I don't really have that much memory of it. What sticks out about that one is that they actually they beat the Russians and then had to beat Finland. I'll say this, the climate of the United States back then to beat Russia was pretty friggin' cool. So that might be up there. The other two that come to mind, because yesterday was just tremendous. It was just an absolute, I'm just one like this. I'll say this. I think the most beautiful thing on earth is the American flag. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an American. I think it looks great. I stood on the sideline for 5 million high school football games on my way up, and I would always feel super lucky to be on the sideline and hear the national anthem before a football game. There's just nothing like that. So it's tremendous. There was a relay with Michael Phelps where they came back and it was incredible and everyone was freaking out. That was an adrenaline surge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say yesterday was to beat the Canadians. I have no ill will towards our neighbors up north.
Right.
Up north, like really north.
Right.
I have some issues as we get to the northern borders that I have to deal with. But when I get to the border, I'm good. I like Canada. I've been there. I have nothing against them. Do I take some satisfaction in the fact that this is their number one thing? So I was trying to explain to my wife, what does America like as much as Canada likes hockey? And there's no sport. You can't say a sport the Americans like as much as you could say football, but it's not a worldwide sport. It's kind of like just ours. Now, here are my two things. Coming out of this, I saw like Theo Fleury, who was a Canadian hockey player on Twitter, who I assumed had a better hold on reality. The complaints about the game. First of all, I have three. One overarching complaint. When hockey starts up and everyone who loves hockey calls everyone else casuals, and we don't know what's going on because we don't watch it year round and we don't really get hockey, I'm against you. That's kind of like some of those soccer nerds. So they want to expand the game, but then every time everyone watches it, they tell us we don't know what we're talking about. Nerds. Number two, there was a complaint about hockey goes to 3-on-3 for the overtime. Did we have 4?
We did. We only had 3.
Okay. So it was fair. So
Yeah.
you may have a problem with the rules. That's a separate discussion you should have handled before this. It was 3-on-3, 3 Canadians, 3 Americans. We won. Number C or 3, whichever I'm doing here, is my last one. This is the purest part where they say, we got goalied. Your goalie was the best player. He was he's American. See, here's the key. If the Canadian goalie was as good as the American goalie, you would have won. The issue is your goalie is from Canada and our goalie is from the United States. And there is another subtle twist to all this that I wasn't even super aware of because I'm not a hockey geek, but the Toronto Maple Leafs are kind of like the eternal bridesmaid of the NHL, have these great seasons. They're known for the heartbreak. Their captain is an American named Austin Roberts. He's got a gold medal, and he'll be going back to Toronto. He was always known as the guy who couldn't win the big one.
Yeah, Austin Matthews, yeah.
Who's Austin Roberts?
I misspelled
it. Austin Matthews? That's my fault.
In the title of the show, and then they wouldn't let me edit it on Facebook. So if you're watching this on Facebook, I'm sorry. They wouldn't let me edit Edmunds with the U instead of the O, but I was able to edit it after I made it on YouTube and the Twitter machine. All right. First, they got to fix that Twitter. They have this workaround that you can do, but like you used to just be able to go on our Bucknuts, retweet it, and that was it. Now it's like this little like I don't know what's going on with it. They've made it hard to retweet the show till it's like while it's live. After the show, it's not hard to tweet.
One more, one more, Dave.
Oh yeah.
The guy McKinnon for Canada who missed the open net.
Yeah.
And then after the game was like, you decide who the better team was. Or like, you missed a goal that my kid could make, and he don't play hockey. So I will say you are not the ones who should have won.
By the way, on the game-winning goal, that was Zach Werenski, who we won't say where he went to college because we don't mind. He's a Blue Jacket. He's a Columbus Blue Jacket. That's what we focus on. Great guy too, despite his collegiate choice. Of course, the Blue Jackets do have like 5 guys on the team from that team up north. That's all right. We got some Russians. We got guys from the team up north. Hey, they all come together with the Blue Jackets. That play by Zach Werenski for the assist on the game-winning goal was awesome, and that was McKinnon. It was basically a 50-50 puck. Zach got there, and then he pushed him out of the way and then had a perfect pass to Hughes for the game-winning goal. Hughes getting his teeth knocked out and then coming back with the game-winning. I mean, the whole thing was just a storybook.
One
more excuse I've heard. One more. I want to say one. I've heard, well, they didn't have Sidney Crosby. Okay. If this was Sidney, who, by the way, in 2010, the Americans were right there with the Canadians, right there. It was in Vancouver. They beat them earlier in the tournament, and then the Canadians won. They had their own golden goal. They won 3-2 in the 2010 games in Vancouver. But then Matt was a really good American team. That's when it was like, okay, the gap isn't – it's not that it's not that wide anymore. We've closed the gap. But then it took 16 years to finally get over the top. If you're talking about that Sidney Crosby or even Sidney Crosby 10 years ago, I'd buy that. 38-year-old Sidney Crosby, he was the oldest player by far for either team. I don't know if he would have made that much of a difference. Now, if it was that close of a game, maybe he would have. But I've heard that excuse, too, from the Canadians. Like, we outplayed them. We didn't even have one of the greatest players of all time. It's like, okay. It's like saying you didn't have Wayne Gretzky. It's like in his prime Wayne Gretzky or right now Wayne Gretzky? Yeah, that was the same thing because Sidney's still playing hockey, but you know what I mean.
But when that was said, I did a double take. I'm like, 2010. I'm like, dude, I was in my mid-30s.
I know. It doesn't feel like that long ago. We were right there in 2010.
I would like to let me point one guy out who I think I always used to have this theory, like if you're in an airport bar and you're I'm a sports dad, right? And you're a sports dad, and we take illogical love and in what our kids accomplish. I always thought to myself, if you were like at an airport bar having a drink and you meet the guy over there and you start chatting and he's like, well, what do your kids do? And who was the number one dad? Okay. And I had actually thought that it was Archie Manning, because you'd be talking, if you didn't know who Archie Manning was, you'd be like, well, what did your kids do? I was like, nah, they were kind of both first picks in the draft. Both won the Super Bowl. What do you say to that? Now, for a weekend, the father of the Hughes kids, one scored the game, I believe, to get us to the Slovakia game. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Then the other son got the game winner. His wife is the team mentor for the women's team. She was once a head coach. They are hockey. So the Hughes family, you might want to buy some lottery tickets or something. You've apexed. There is nothing better than that for Mr. Hughes. So congrats to that dude. That's incredible.
I did mean to talk about this for the first 2 minutes. Dan and I are both, when you get us together, that's long-winded, times long-winded. All right, let's move along, talk some Ohio State football. Brady Edmunds, Ohio State's quarterback. Yeah.
Emily, I just said it's the dad's wife. I'm talking about how the dad had a great weekend because his sons and his wife. So,
you're talking about
rock and roll.
For those who don't know, Emily's saying it's actually their mom. Yeah, not wife.
I get that, but he's not married to their sister.
All right, let's not even talk about Tony Clark. That's a new one. That was sister-in-law, but still. Sister-in-law. He was fired for having an inappropriate relationship. And I was like, with who? His sister-in-law. I'm like, oh, whoa, okay.
How about the beard on that guy? That shocked me.
Yeah, that's an interesting timing, too, with baseball, having the labor dispute they're going to have pretty soon. But we'll see about that. All right, let's get to matters of import. Well, other matters of import, because that was awesome yesterday.
Great.
Brady Edmunds, speaking of awesome yesterday, he became the first quarterback in the country in the 2027 class to get invited to the Elite 11 finals. The first one to get an invite. I think he's going to accept the invite, Dan. 6'5", 220, for those who don't know. Big boy, 6'5", 220 from Huntington Beach, California. he's already committed to Ohio State, assuming he does sign with the Buckeyes. He'll be the 4th quarterback the Buckeyes have gotten from California since 2020 alone. CJ Stroud, Julian Sayin, Luke Fahey's now on campus, true freshman, and then Edmunds. 4 guys from Cali. So far, those first 2 are working out pretty well with Stroud and Julian. Not too bad there. I'm not hating going out to Cali and getting these kids. Here's what I didn't know, Dan. For some reason, if you would have asked me, like, Brady Edmunds, like, where's he ranked as far as like in the 24/7 Sports composite? Like, I'd be like, is he a top 10 guy? I said, for sure. How much would you bet? I probably would have bet like whatever. He's definitely a top 10 ranked quarterback, and he will be. I have no doubt about that when the dust settles. I didn't realize he was just a 4-star ranked as the number 12 quarterback in the country, number 140 overall in the composite. I didn't realize he was just the number 12 quarterback in the country, but I guarantee you, Dan Rubin, he won't be the number 12 quarterback for long. That's gonna skyrocket at some point.
We've talked about this across the board, and this is what I call the benefit of the doubt. Ryan Day and quarterbacks gets the benefit of the doubt here. If you macro back, so we take a large picture view of quarterbacks at Ohio State and even the Big Ten, it'll be like quarterbacks, Ryan Day, quarterbacks for draft value. There was no one picked in the first round from a Big Ten quarterback. What was that stretch from Kerry Collins up until, was it Haskins?
It was.
Now that is legend. That's ridiculous. That's more
Breeze, because Breeze was a
Sidney
second
Crosby. Sidney Crosby thinks that's a long time between events there. He thinks that's outlandish. But yeah, so that's completely changed now. So now we're to the point where Kyle McClure, we're like 4th round. Get him out of here. So I don't, when it comes to quarterbacks, I literally, now, if he's ranked, and some silly number is one thing. If he's highly ranked, he's a California guy that everybody knows. He was the first quarterback invited to the Elite 11. I don't know the answer to this now, but my guess is if you went through history and found out the first guy invited to the Elite 11 since the event started, he's probably a decent and well-heeled guy with several beach houses. So I'm not worried about that. He's also a very big dude. Sometimes guys get listed as a certain height. We're going to go through NFL chatter where I think we talked about listing some of our guys shorter, which is weird. But Jameer Brown, the lovely and talented Jameer Brown, was out at this camp in LA to catch passes from him. That's not a good sign. And they're standing next to each other, and he is 5 or 6 inches taller. And Jameer Brown is a legit 5'11", 6 foot. So Brady Edmunds is a big dude, and he has a hose, dude. Trust me on this. We did his evaluation with Mark Porter. Mark was all over it. So that is literally, that doesn't mean anything to me, the rankings when it comes to that. I look at offer list. He basically already took himself off the market as early as possible. So that kind of damages your leverage.
Handpicked by Ryan Day, like you said. I mean, everything about him. Yeah, the film, the size, the Elite 11 invite now. Yeah, I have no doubt when they re-rank these guys, he's going to be top 10. Maybe he'll eventually be a 5-star. And I know it doesn't really matter, but it's fun. It's why we like looking at recruiting rankings, right? It's fun.
He has a cannon. I mean, I can't say this close. When we watched the tape with Mark live, we were questioning, does he have the strongest arm of anyone we've brought in? And it would be in the mix. And he's a big dude. He's Will Howard size, and we know this. Will Howard, we hung out with him. Will Howard in a picture with Jeremiah, Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, and C.J. Hicks. And you said, "Who's the linebacker?" You wouldn't have known. So
right. Yeah. Will Howard got a little Josh Allen size to him. Not quite that big.
That feels hyperbolic to me now. That's kind of like the new comparison for every big honky quarterback over 6'4". I don't think he runs like Allen. Allen's a tremendous runner of the football. I mean, he really is.
If you guys think if the over-under was 0.5 of references of honkies on the show, I hope you took the over. I hope you. That's 2 that's 3 honky references. There you go.
Right on.
All right, there we go. We're cooking the books now. The prediction markets. Over under 0.5 references of honkies. All right. So yeah, that's going to go up. But I was surprised to see he's just the 12th quarterback in the country. I think Ryan Day would not agree that there's 11 better quarterbacks in the country.
Also,
Brady Edmunds.
Yeah, when you're the first player picked for the Elite 11, that will affect your ranking.
Yes.
In a positive fashion.
All right. We're going to predict where the Ohio State guys are going to go in the draft. The scouting combine kicks off this Thursday. We're going to have boots on the ground, Wagon and Murph. I'm not sure if Garrick's going or not, but I know Wagon and Murph are going to be there in Indy for the scouting combine. Before we do that, Dan, you wanted to get into whether or not Ohio State did enough this offseason with the offensive line and running backs. My short answer is yes. I'll explain why. What's your answer?
Hopefully. Because I would say last year, those are the two position groups. I think you could say there were some misevaluations. So I'm not really concerned with the specifics of who they brought in. I'm just hoping they tweak their process and their evaluation process to the point where they could get it right. I've said this several times. If you remember to start the season, Backs picked James Peoples to be the team MVP. No offense, Backs. But we thought my guy was going to play a major role. I think C.J. Donaldson, I didn't know a ton about him. My expectations were higher. I don't think either one was, I hate to say this out loud, Ohio State caliber in terms of, I think every guy who carries the ball for Ohio State should be a legitimate NFL running back. There's no reason not to do that. We can recruit like that.
Right.
Bo Jackson did not play in our first game. They did not. I don't care what anyone tells me. Expect Bo Jackson to be the leading rusher on the team. That's just not accurate. And then at the offensive line, Ethan Onyeonwu was brought in and paid a good amount of money. Carter Smith was at Indiana, wanted to transfer here. We told him we were taking Onyeonwu. Onyeonwu never really got on the field for a meaningful snap. And Carter Smith, now he did get abused by Akeem Mesidor like everyone else did, but he was first team All Big Ten. If you look at the preseason All-American teams this year, you will find Carter Smith on several. And he decided to come back for an extra year and not go to the draft, where I think he probably would have been a second or third round draft pick, where we heard that about Onyeonwu, and it turns out he was not. No. So they really didn't bring in an offensive lineman of ilk. They brought my guy in from Dartmouth, but I think he's really a lower depth piece. Now, I understand the idea of continuity. And I know that is I'm told, a very, very tight unit, the offensive line, like beyond tight. Like there was fear, I think, of bringing someone in would upset the apple cart because the guys are so tight. Now, I'm much more optimistic going into next year, given everyone's a year older. Philly Daniel's been in the program a year. I do think on the offensive line, just a year of girth and paying on taxes on your NIL stuff and being with Mick is good for you. Get a little more junk in the trunk and stuff, but they misevaluated it last year. So they got to prove to me they can evaluate it cleanly for me to be totally confident. But those are the only. And then at running back, the kid they brought in from Florida is a good back, but he's a depth piece.
Right.
And then the other two guys both had shoulder surgery. So
I just put Jacoby Jackson's stats up there for those that are watching the show. Those are just listening to the show. So he got banged up last year. And that's why he was able to get an extra year of eligibility. But the previous year, so 2024 at Florida, Jacoby Jackson had 509 rushing yards, averaged 5.4 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, and Bo Jackson's obviously the guy. I think for a number 2, number 3 back, I think that's a good get. And I think he's going to be what they hoped C.J. Donaldson was. Jacoby's like a little more like center of gravity, lower center of gravity, 5'11", 215, but he runs like hard. Like I think he's going to be a good number 2, number 3, depending on what happens with Isaiah West. I like Legend Bay. I think is going to have a role in this offense. Maybe not a huge one, but I think he's definitely going to have a role. Maybe more of like that H back, Urban Meyer's definition of an H back, not like a Moose Johnston Cowboys H back. Yeah, like scat back, whatever. But Bo Jackson is a true freshman. I have it down here on the ticker. 1,090 rushing yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. I think they're in a good position.
He saved them. He saved them, Dave.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson saved them.
And you pointed this out too with pretty much any position on the field that you can think of. You're not going to bring Bo Jackson back and pay him what he needed to be paid. And then also get it now I guess I just contradicted myself. I do think the Travion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins thing was once in a lifetime. I don't think that's going to happen again, where you're bringing back a stud and then you bring in a stud. Like, I mean, hopefully I'm wrong. But
prices have gone up.
I think exactly. And I think it just would. I think Jacoby Jackson, was he as good as they could have gotten? I mean, I would have loved to get Justice Haynes, steal him from Michigan. He went to Georgia Tech. You would have had to pay him probably more than what Bo Jackson's getting. So to bring Bo Jackson back, bring it. Oh, and by the way, we know Legend Bay's not coming here for free. Isaiah West isn't playing for free. I think Jackson was a really good get in the portal, relatively speaking. Like, as you said, he's a depth piece, but I think he's going to be a good depth piece.
I'll say this. The guy who could really bring the room together is Isaiah West, though. If he comes back, keep in mind, he's been banged up. He hurt his knee. He wasn't fully recovered. I don't think they expected him to play a role last year at all. I think it was almost a glorified redshirt year.
Yeah.
I like what I saw out of him. And if you could get, I prefer it to be, it'd be nice if it was like, in terms of the main back, 60-40 with Jackson and West. And then our other guy was kind of like your short yardage, maybe pass blocker. But they must have a lot of faith in Jackson and West.
Do you see the comment? He said, "Just don't use the other word, LOL." That's a reference to a honky earlier, Dan.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't worry. Yeah, exactly. Not gonna. I just thought that was funny. Yeah, as he says, LOL. He's making a little joke there. Yeah. Don't worry.
I like my job.
You'd have to actually have that in your vocabulary to let that slip. I've always been a believer in that. Like, yeah, that was the first time you ever said that. You sure?
Were you the one, David, I had to talk about, like, when you send someone a text and it accidentally sends the word and you're like,
yes.
Oh, that was a mistake. And you're like, really? Autocorrect?
Why is it autocorrecting to that?
Because you use it so much?
All right. Let's get the train back on the rails somehow. All right. So, all right, let's predict where the guys are going to go in the draft. And, like, for the early guys, we can say, like, an exact spot if we want to, like Arvell Reese, number 2 overall if we want. But basically, what round and what area of that round. All right.
Shoot.
It's interesting, man. I've been posting these mock drafts on the site. And for a while, it was like carbon copy, Arvell Reese to the Jets 2, Arvell Reese to the Jets 2, Arvell Reese to the Jets 2. And there's still several mock drafts that have that. Last couple ones I've posted, one had him dropping to like 7th to the Commanders, and one had him going to your Cowboys at 12th. That was Pro Football Focus. I don't think there's any way that's going to happen. But it's interesting that some of people have him off the 2 spot now. I'll stick with Arvell Reese going number 2 to the Jets. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It's a really interesting draft at the top because, you have Mendoza, and he's kind of, because there's only really one first-round quarterback, the draft, they say the draft really does start at 2 this year. I mean, it's almost templated in there. Yeah, we're not going to do that skit live out here. That was a time relative skit.
I was going to say, I still can't believe, I don't remember that. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, that they actually had that. Like, yeah,
I'll tell you what, if you want to watch, there's a Chevy Chase documentary out there that you want to watch. I grew up thinking Chevy Chase, literally Fletch and stuff, was like, I thought he was the funniest person ever. Boy, that guy's a huge dick. I'm sorry to use a bad word. He is such a dick. Anyway,
it's a documentary, though. I watched it,
too. It's great.
Yeah.
But you will not come away with it with like, hey, let's watch Fletch again. You're like, yikes. Basically, he was funny. And he stopped taking drugs, not funny and cranky. So not sure. It's kind of a questionable. It's an issue. Dan
is advocating taking drugs. No. Do you take drugs, Danny? Good.
Yeah, very good.
There's a
With
caddy.
The 15-year-old daughter of the dean. Anyway, night putting at night. If you haven't seen Caddyshack, that's actually, you should watch that with I let my kids watch that just because I feel like it's probably my Caddyshack and Goodfellas are my number. I was thinking the other day, if I had to say 2 desert island movies, that's what I'd take. All right, I'm back. Yes, Arvell Reese is not getting to 12, and if he does, I will be taking the week off because I will probably fall and hit my head and need some stitches or something. You should have seen my house when they picked Zeke. I thought my 2 sons were literally going to jump through the ceiling. I think Reese will be number 2. I think what you're getting now is jockeying. The only other guy I could see dislodging him is David Bailey, the defensive end from Texas Tech, just because people are infatuated with speed rushers and getting to the quarterback. I would say this. If you don't pick Arvell Reese, you are making a mistake, okay? It's 3 or 4 years from now, all the NFL You could have them all walk into a room and you'd be like, who is that MFer? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's the baddest dude out there. Sometimes you just got to take him. Plus, he's 20 years old or 21. You're picking him for what he's going to be like at 25. So that's a no doubter to me. The question is, and I'll tell you the guy who's rocketing up boards, and every single Cowboys draft at 12 had him here, and now they're like, you're not going to get him. It's Sonny Styles. You talked about the change in drafts. You're starting to see him at 5, at 7. You know what I'm saying? And here's what's going to happen with Sonny. They already like him. He's going to go to the combine.
Yes.
And they're going to be like, what is that?
He just jumped out of Lucas Oil Stadium. Like
he's going to measure like
rafters.
6'4" and 3/4, 242 pounds. Now, I don't know if he's going to run. Ohio State guys, some don't run. If he runs, he might be the first pick in the draft. I'm exaggerating.
He should run.
And then they're going to interview him and be like, my daughter's in the other room, by the way. If you want to on the way out, here's her number. So to me, Sonny is literally, there's no risk involved whatsoever. None. Zero. Like, Caleb Downs is a great player. He's not, if you were going to like nitpick, he's not ideally sized at 6'205".
But he plays within his size, though.
I'm just saying, in terms of checking boxes, Sonny might check the most. I'm just saying the way they do it. I'm not agreeing with it.
Downs to me is the safest pick in this draft.
I don't dispute that
all
for
the
a
way
second.
for any position. It's the same thing I said about Jackson Smith and Jigba. I said that Emeka was a safe. There's just certain guys I feel like, no, I'm not talking about if you have a catastrophic injury. That aside, Caleb Downs is going to play 15 years in the NFL, and we know safeties can play a while. Safeties can play a while. That's when people say, who's going to have the better like NFL career, Jackson Smith and Jigba or Caleb Downs? It's easy to say JSN, right? Because he's already had a fantastic year. Best year of any wide receiver this year. I think Caleb Downs is going to play longer. We're already seeing Jackson missed a whole year at Ohio State pretty much with an injury. He's been banged up in the NFL. Was banged up in the Super Bowl. He is a tough dude that's going to continue to get banged up. I mean, is Jackson going to be playing 12 years from now? Probably not. I bet you if you get Caleb Downs, you got him for 15 years, and 10 of those years he's going to be all pro. I think he's the safest pick in this draft. If I'm the Raiders, I take Mendoza. I'm not saying I wouldn't take Mendoza 1 overall. You got to take the quarterback 1 overall. But I think Caleb Downs is the safest pick in this draft. Not just safe, like he's going to be an okay starter. Like he's going to come in right away. Like, let's say the Bengals take him. He's going to come in right away. He's going to be the best defensive back on the team. He's going to be maybe not all pro as a rookie, but he's going to be on the all rookie team. And he'll just be a good starter, maybe a great starter for the next 10, 15 years.
He does smash.
Smart.
Beyond smart. Like,
yeah,
he will be, he might have the green dot as a rookie. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
He is the best culture fit. He is the least, like, it's hard to explain. His day-to-day ops are more locked in than the actual team assignments. Like, he doesn't need you. He is on his own. He is a pro. He fits the absolute ideal profile to me also for players, which is your dad was in the NFL but didn't get the contract that's off the charts. So there's still a little bit of hunger in there. Justice Haynes' dad, Veron Haynes, is a good example of this. You remember Rashawn Slater at Northwestern? His dad, Reggie Slater, was a journeyman power forward in the NBA. Those guys who just get the hits. And Gary Downs was a journeyman running back for the Giants. He wore number 45.
Del Curry, who was a decent NBA player.
Del Curry was way better than the guys I just mentioned.
Right, but you know what I mean? Right, but then Steph is like the best shooter of all time. And Del was a good free shooter. There's no doubt about it. But like, anyway.
But Del Curry is like a beloved Hornets guy. Reggie Slater isn't doing play-by-play for the Nuggets, dude. He's like an also ran. I'm talking Del Curry cashed in. I'm talking about guys who were like, never got the second contract. We're kind of like the journeyman back.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so and look at his other son, Downs. Josh is a very, very good receiver.
And they're already smart. They're smart on and off the field. They're business. They do have the Downs 2 business.
No,
I mean, those guys, they have a podcast. They're doing all this. Those guys, they wouldn't even have to do that, and they'd be like millionaires for life. But like, they're smart off the field too. Yeah, Caleb Downs to me, man. He might be the smartest football player that I've ever covered at Ohio State. And there's been some guys like James Laurinaitis who go on and on. AJ Hawk was a very smart player. some of the quarterbacks. A lot of different guys. The offensive linemen I could talk about, like Nick Mann. I mean, there's so many guys that are just smart football players, smart off the field too, but just like absolute coaches on the field. I think Caleb Downs is one of one.
A hidden advantage, by the way, in my opinion, to adding the NFL head coaches as your assistant coaches. Who do you think people in the NFL are going to be calling for character references on guys like Caleb Downs? Matt Patricia, possibly? I wonder what Matt Patricia is going to say about Caleb Downs.
Nick Saban?
Yeah. I mean, I wonder what they're –
right. You know. I don't know. He led us into Nick Saban. What do you think about it? Well, he's the only true freshman to ever lead any of my teams in tackles, and he had over 100 tackles as a true freshman. And then he goes to Ohio State, wins a national championship. Was a stud on that defense as a sophomore, All-American. And then, again, first-team All-American again. They're going to be planting a Buckeye tree in his honor. Yeah, he's pretty good. All right, let's get on. So we all agree Reese, Downs, Carnell Tate, Styles are all going to be first-round picks. Some people have – and
top 15.
Yes, top 15. Oh, for sure. I'll go top 12.
Fair.
I'll say top 12. We're going to have 4 guys in the top 12. Pretty good when you get 1/3 of the top 12 picks from your school. Now, K-Mac is kind of how much validity you put in these mock drafts. Depends on who's doing the mock draft, depending on how much validity I put it. Like if Dane Brugler's doing it, I'm putting a lot of validity into it.
Brugler and Jeremiah, I think you're considered.
Maybe not quite as much. But if you use that as a gauge, it's about 50-50. Early on, it seemed like most people had Caden as a first-round pick. The last few that I've posted do not have Caden listed as a first-round pick. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. I don't think he gets past the Bears at 25. I got Caden McDonald going right around there, 25th, maybe even earlier than that. Yeah. Yeah,
I agree. I also think with defensive tackles, they get into this groove where like, oh, he doesn't provide any pass rush. He's a soak-up 2 guy. I don't really agree with that. I don't think McDonald is limited. And by the way, let's also talk about a safe pick. Caden McDonald was, first of all, he's 6'2.5", 6'3", 330, 325, somewhere in there. Size, no issue. He was the best player in Gwinnett County, okay, which, by the way, is probably the best county for high school football right now, player for player in the United States. You can get some argument, probably some Florida or Texas locales, but go look up the Gwinnett team he was the all-team on. It's ridiculous. Secondly, he was dominant at Ohio State. If you are dominant and properly sized and a good guy and in the Atlanta suburbs, and then you are dominant at Ohio State, you are a big-time NFL player. That's not an arguable point. You've proved yourself in the 2 pressure cookers of football at each level. And you go back and look, Ohio State was uncanny inside the 10-yard line. I remember when Texas got to the 10-yard line, like I said, no way they're getting a touchdown. That is an outlandish thing to even think.
Right.
And I was so confident. I'm like, oh, I kind of hope they get it inside the 20 because then I know they aren't going to score. That doesn't even make any sense.
I know.
And it happened. And it happened multiple times. I was like, just let them get to the 1. We will stop them. The Cowboys, when I root for them, it's like if they get inside the 50, I'm already like, all right, let's hold them to 3. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was awesome. And if you go back and look, he's at the bottom of all those piles. Dude.
Oh, yeah.
He is the one, the main guy. I mean, Downs made a great play and stuff. They did that because the middle was closed.
Right.
So I would love to have him. He's a day 1 starter, in my opinion.
Like he won't go this early, and the Bengals are stupid anyway. If the Bengals took him at 10,
fine.
Assuming Downs was not on the board, I want Downs. I don't think Downs is going to make it to 10. I've seen a couple mock drafts have the Bengals passing on Downs, and then the Dolphins getting him at 11. That happens.
That won't be.
I don't even want to say what I'm going to do if that happens. Steelers, I'm going to jump on your band. No, I'm not. I'm not going to do that unless Will Howard's the quarterback. I'm going to be a Bengal fan till I die, unfortunately. All right, IGB. I've seen one mock draft that has him going in the second round. I think that was Brugler. I have him going in the second round. I think IGB is going to be a guy that's going to go do a really good job at the combine. He's long. His senior film is going to help him a lot. The one thing he needed to cut back on, he cut back on. He went from 14 penalties to 4. Credit to him. He's got the size. He's got the speed. He's not just the size. He's got long arms. He's a willing tackler. A lot of those times, he's not skinny. He's pretty ripped, but he kind of looks skinny out there, because he's so long. So a lot of those long corners are not like really wanting to get in there and hit. He hits like he's like a safety. I think he's going to be, and if somebody took him late in the first round, I think that'd be a sneaky good pick. I'll go second round on IGB.
I'll say of all the guys to this point that I'm surprised by their rankings, that would be the one. I thought he would be a little higher. I thought once they got into the tape, because now what's happened is, keep in mind, a lot of the people in the NFL, this may sound surprising to some people, really don't pay attention to college football during the season. So a lot of the people who are making these decisions don't start seeing the guys until it's tape and stuff like that. Now they have scouts out on the road and such, but they have other stuff to deal with. I'm surprised that he's not moved higher because, like you said, physically, 6'2", sinewy. I don't remember anyone really running away from him. Willing tackler. So either there is something that I don't know about or we don't know about that is limiting him, or they just don't feel like he's solved the grabbiness as much as they want.
Well, they're not letting the cat out of the bag. If you're a team drafted early in the second round and you really want IGB, are you telling your sources that are going to go put it out there?
There.
Oh, yeah, we really like this guy. Yeah, actually, too many penalties as a junior. He's off our board, and then they take him in the second round. Yeah, it's smokescreen season all the time. All right, so you have IGB given in second?
I would say right now, if I was predicting – no, this is not where I would pick him. But I was predicting where he's going to get picked. I think he's a third rounder. That said, he could probably – he's one of those guys where a combine can push him into the second.
Safe. I think most people have him as a third round. I saw one that had a 3-round mock that didn't even have him. I'm like, that was the one from Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, because they use their own rankings.
Yeah, it had him like not even a third round. I'm like, I wish we could bet on stuff. You can bet on like everything in the world. I like to bet that IGB is at least going to be a third rounder. There's 100 picks because you have that's where the compensatory picks start. There's the last pick of the third round is pick number 100. IGB will be at least a third round pick. All right. Max, I think there's only going to be 8 or maybe 9 guys drafted. Not a huge draft class, very top heavy. All right, the next guy off the board, I have Max Clare. Got him like late third round. Early fourth. Man, what are you thinking? Early fourth?
Early fourth.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, second and third round is a different day. And those have now taken on I think a larger than life position in the way they do things. So like the first pick of the second round is like super coveted because after the first day, you either got what you didn't. That's not English. Didn't get what you wanted or had to pick someone else or whatever. And so that changes. Like the value of that first pick of the second round is, there's always talk of trades and stuff like that. So you've got the second and the third. Then the third day is the fourth round.
Right.
Where I think they've kind of been divided. Like, for example, we're working on something for the recruiting where Mark Pantoni explained recruiting now. He did it as first-round draft picks, second-day picks, third-day guys. So that's how they look at things. So I think Max will be a coveted third-day top guy.
All right. I have Caden Curry, Jack Sawyer-esque. Although Sawyer went in the fourth round, maybe Curry will be fifth round. I have Curry fourth round. Caden Curry, I have fourth round. I still am surprised Jack Sawyer wasn't a third rounder. I
think Caden Curry is going to go at the end of the third round.
Ooh, I like it. Maybe it's just the Jack Sawyer PTSD. That's one I said earlier. I'd like to bet that IGB is going to be at least a third round pick. I would have lost money on Jack Sawyer. You said he's going to be a fourth rounder. I'm like, no, he won't. He'll be at least a third rounder. So I was wrong about that. And he had a pretty good rookie year for this deal. It's not like he came in there and set the world on fire, but
he can play.
Yeah, he's going to be a guy.
He's a definite rotation piece.
Oh, yeah.
He'll be there for 2 or 3 years. He'll get 11 sacks in his third year and cash in like every other Pittsburgh guy does, and he'll go play for the Cardinals and be rich.
I like your idea on Caden Curry.
He's just so productive, He's just so productive. Like I could see him being great on special teams. I could see him being like on your third down rush packages in different spots. He's super smart. He's got that now he's not a big guy. If you go to one of the games, it's noticeable that he was not as big as the other dudes. Now, he plays like I don't want to say werewolf because he's an lineman, but his motor is, where would you rank it on the team? Up there towards the top?
Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah,
you can't say anyone had a better motor. Okay, that's what he's on. He's in the top tier of motors. To me, guys like that, he's going to get bigger just because he's going to get older. You know what I mean? And meaner. Like I said, you start paying taxes, having kids, have an argument with your wife, and then go to practice. You're mean. I'm a big Caden Curry guy. I love Caden Curry. I'd be really psyched if the Cowboys get Caden Curry. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, if the Bengals took him
Playmaker.
in the 4th round, I'd be over the moon with that pick. He's just going to be like, or even a 3rd round. Sam Hubbard was a 3rd round pick. He's going to be a not different player. Sam's taller. They're not the same.
He was really good.
Production wise, I think he can be a Sam Hubbard type in the NFL. Not a star, but a good player. And if not for injuries, Sam would have still played a couple more years, but injuries just caught up to him. All right, I do have one more Buckeye going off the board. I almost forgot about him when we were texting this morning. I said, I think there's only going to be 8 guys. And I'm like, oh, I forgot about Will Kazmarek. Now, he's going to be a late pick if he's taken. I'm going late 6th round. Could be compensatory picks in the late 6th round. Someone's going to get Will Kazmarek because a lot of people consider him the best blocking tight end in this draft. Now, he's not going to blow you away with speed, but he's a big dude. And there's so many good examples on film. Him just absolutely ragdolling Derek Moore. I mean, if you need and he's no slouch in the passing game. He's got decent hands. I think Will Kazmarek, we saw like Luke Farrell was like a 5th round pick. Oh, did I steal your Luke Farrell?
No. It's funny you say that because if there's a name that when we're talking, I think of that I think I might forget because it's kind of loose. I wrote down Luke Farrell right here. Like, if you need an example, look.
That's hilarious.
Luke Farrell, not
you and I on the same wavelength. Yeah.
He's still in the league. That's why we're talking about this. If you were to guess, when you looked at that team, which guy would still be in the league, Luke Farrell would not have been at the top of the chart.
Right.
Right. They all played, for a while. Who's my guy
Nick
that
Van
played
Nett?
for the Seahawks?
Nick Van Nett?
Van Nett played forever.
Look, the chat's undefeated. Even before you brought it up.
That's great.
BBQ Buckeye Bill was like Farrell and Van Nett. Yeah, those are the type. Van Nett was actually a 3rd rounder, though.
Yeah.
So Kazmarek, maybe I'm being too. Maybe somebody will take.
I think you are.
5th round.
I think he's a 5th round draft pick.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because in the 5th round, you take it. So ask yourself this question: could Will Kazmarek give you snaps next year? Definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
There's no risk in that. He's a sub package guy. He's your 2nd tight end, 3rd tight end. And hello, what did the NFL do last year? Many of the teams. So now I'm going to geek out here. Everyone wants the big nickel. Everyone wants Nick Emmanwori now, who, by the way, that's a little knee jerk to me, but they want the big nickel because what the teams were doing was they're throwing out of a 3 tight end set, and then you can't match up with that, right? Well, Kazmarek is a tight end, and so the more tight ends are going to be drafted this year than usual because of that switch in offense, plus his pedigree. And he's a stud. Like you said, ragdoll Derek Moore, who's moving up some draft boards.
Yeah, I see him projected as a 2nd round pick. That's one.
No
if
way.
The Bengals took him in the 2nd round, I'll throw something at the TV. Goodness great. That 2nd round for Derek Moore. Sorry, no. All right, great stuff out of Dan Rubin. I appreciate it, my man. That was good stuff.
Yeah,
Did not intend for the show to be this long, but when we start off talking USA men's hockey for about 8 minutes, the show's gonna go pretty long. But we finally got the show kind of back on the rails. We had some honky references, and there's another one.
If you want to hear more hockey talk, check in 4 years.
Hockey and honky. Yeah. That should have been
honky
the
talk.
Honkies on hockey. All right.
Buck Rational wants basketball talk. Do it 43 minutes. You have to pay.
Oh, basketball talk. It started good and then it ended bad. And I tell you what, for not having Junie and not having Devin Royal, is basically Bruce is out there playing 1-on-5. Pretty good showing. Ohio State was a 10.5 underdog before people knew that Devin Royal was out. They knew Junie was out. So I think they were like a 12.5 point underdog. They were winning that. I knew they were going to run out of gas. There was no doubt about it. I might or might not have made some live bets on Michigan State because it got down to +3.5 Michigan State when Ohio State was leading at halftime. I'm like, +3.5? Okay. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Ohio State wins this game or at least covers. Now, only loses by 1, 2, or 3. But I'm like, and I wasn't right by that much. Michigan State won by 6. It wasn't like they blew them out. But, Bruce didn't leave the game, man. Bruce scored 16 points in each half.
Yeah, that's
scored
a lot.
32 points, more than half the points of Ohio State. Man, it's just
Also,
it's disappointing. It does help Diebler's cause, though. You can't blame that on Diebler. Like,
ask yourself this question too: who was Michigan State's game plan set up to stop?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, we've already gone over, so I'm going to tell you guys a super quick story. All right, ready? I'll go as fast as I can. When I was cutting my teeth as a reporter, I covered the DC area. There was a high school called South Lakes. Grant Hill was the best player there. The second best player on the team was a guy named Jerome Scott, who went to play at the University of Miami. Okay. At the time, the best basketball player and female basketball player in South Lakes rest in history was a woman named Christy Winters. When Grant Hill got inducted into the Hall of Fame at South Lakes, he's like, I'm now the male Christy Winters. Christy Winters went to Maryland. She was great. She was like 6'2". Jerome Scott was like studs. And I remember saying to somebody, dude, and they got married and had a kid, a son. And I said, if I could invest in someone's son, that's who it would be. It's Jordan Scott of Michigan State.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Apple tree.
There we go.
And we
should
go.
Good way to end the show there. All right. Thanks, Dan. Thanks to all of you. We appreciate it very much. Nice large live audience. Thanks to all of our people in the chat, everybody watching the show live, and thanks to everybody watching or listening to the podcast only version. We appreciate all you guys. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Go Bucks.